I'd like to welcome everyone to the Monday, June 18th meeting for the Monroe Town Board. Your emergency exits are directly behind you. There are two, and there's one to our left, your right. If everyone could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, we'll begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first order of business tonight is to open up the public hearing for the Fire Protection District Agreement. So can we get a motion on that?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman Scancarello. Okay. Has anyone signed up to speak? No? Is there anyone out there that would like to speak? Okay. Council, would you like to...
Thank you, Supervisor. So as the board knows, this is a fire protection agreement that's essentially being amended / new agreement with parcels that remained after the existing fire protection district was reduced to approximately 5 parcels. And a public hearing was required before approving a fire protection agreement. So that's the purpose of this public hearing. And upon its closure, if the board is going to authorize the supervisor to sign the agreement, we should just indicate that the board has determined that it's in the public interest to do so. That's the only requirement you would state, and then authorize the supervisor to execute. I don't know if there's any questions. There was a question about taxes last time, and we did determine that the $8,500 is paid by those parcels benefited within that fire protection district, the 5 parcels.
Correct. Okay. Is there anyone that would like to speak? No? Anybody on the town board have any questions? No? Okay. So we need a motion to approve the supervisor to sign the agreement.
I'll make that motion.
Ma'am, just amend that motion, please, to include a determination that it's in the public interest to approve the contract.
Okay, I make a motion that we authorize the supervisor to sign the fire protection agreement as it is in best interest, public overall interest.
Close the public hearing first.
Oh,
We gotta close it first, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councilman McGinn. Any questions? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Now you can see all that.
Okay, so moved.
Okay. Now I'll make the motion that we authorize the supervisor to sign the fire protection contract as it is in the overall public interest of the town.
Cologne is second.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay. Second item on the agenda tonight. We're here to recognize a Monroe resident for his 60 years of service with the Monbassia Fire Company. That resident is Mr. Clarence Board. I'm behind the podium. I'd like to read a little excerpt that was sent to me by John Schubert, who was instrumental in making this happen tonight. It reads, Clarence Board joined the Monroe Fire Company in 1957. Eisenhower was president. The average yearly salary was $4,500, and a gallon of gas was 24 cents. 12 Angry Men was playing at the movies. Perry Mason debuted on TV, and Monroe's fire trucks were red. Through the decades, so much has changed in society here in Monroe and at the Monbassia Fire Company. The one constant in Monroe and at the Monbassia Fire Company has been Clarence Board. He has served in many capacities over his 60 years of dedicated service, including secretary, chaplain, assistant chief, and chief. He is currently the sergeant at arms. Throughout the years, he has also served beyond Monroe's borders in the Orange County Chiefs Association, the Orange County Fire Advisory Board, New York State Chiefs Association, Hudson Valley Volunteer Fire Association, and the Fire Association of the State of New York, known as FASNA. He also served as Vice President and President of the Orange County Volunteer Firemen's Association. While he no longer fights fires, there's not a meeting, parade, or civil function that you won't see Clarence at or actively participating in. The Town of Monroe Board greatly acknowledges Clarence Board for his 60 years of service and his dedication to serving the residents of the Town of Monroe. If the board, Clarence, the board members are going to come around the front. If you could come up, we'll present you with a certificate. Yeah. Want to read it? Congratulations.
Before I read what's on this award, it's really tough to the top 60 years of service to the public. God bless you. But also to you and the family that has made this happen. You and your wife and your family have served this community, and we cannot thank you enough. And it says here, Making an Impact Award presented to Clarence Board in recognition of 60 years of dedicated service and outstanding contributions to the Monbassia Fire Company and the Town of Monroe community. Mr. Board, thank you so much.
And then with him and his family? Sure. Mary Ellen, you want to come here since you're the district secretary? Slide in here in between.
How about the chief back here in the corner there?
Yes. Hold on, gotta wait for Mr. Sherry here. Yep. Okay. Your family want to come up? Please. Yes, I'll give you a mic in a second. Steady go, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, big man. Good job. Thank you. Why don't you guys go over there and just take a picture with them? In addition, Clarence, it was not able to be here this evening, but I believe it's getting overnighted to your house. There's a proclamation from Senator Larkin. I think you have him beat in service.
Can I just ask you all to look at me, please? Thank you.
Clarence did want to say a few words.
I'd just like to thank all of my family and friends that are here tonight.
Just speak right into it.
Speak right up.
Like I say, I'd like to thank them all for being here, my friends, and it's a great honor. Thank you very much.
Congratulations again.
Congratulations, sir.
He does, doesn't he?
Good stuff.
Tell me if you will.
Clarence, one other thing. You're going to go to 75 years and really kick Larkin's butt as far as service, okay? Thank you very much. Okay. Next item on the agenda is turning the town's teal.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Colleen Farrell, Village of Harriman.
Kathy, just
Gotta
speak
speak
into the
into the
mic
mic.
a little
Kathy
better.
Calhoun, I'm kind of assisting her.
Well,
Okay.
Hello.
And where's your residence?
Monroe.
Monroe. Okay.
First, we want to thank the board for allowing us to speak tonight on the, adding us to the agenda. I don't know if everybody got a chance to look at some of the correspondence we left off, but the last couple of years, Kathy has put ribbons throughout the village of Monroe for the month of September. September is Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, and the ribbons are to bring awareness to ovarian cancer and some of the warning signs and things that people should hopefully pay attention to. It's a movement that started in New Jersey, the Teal Ribbon Campaign. It has since grown to turn the town's teal. It's a national movement. We're hoping this year to expand it to include, Kathy does the Village of Monroe. She's been doing the Village of Monroe and the Village of Warwick. This year, I'm going to partner up with Kathy and extend it to the Village of Harriman. We went before the Village Board last week, and they unanimously approved us to be able to put the ribbons throughout the Village of Harriman. So we're hoping this year to also include the town of Monroe. And what would happen is we put the ribbons up the first day of September, and then we take them down the last day of September. So if in case anybody's not sure what we're talking about, I do have some pictures just so that give you a visual. These are what the ribbons actually
You got to show the camera too, also,
Oh,
please.
sorry. So these are actually what it would look like in case
Yeah.
you needed to see them. So,
Hold that up.
okay, so just to give a picture.
We also place cards that have all the symptoms in local stores. We walk into all the stores in the area that are near where we're hanging the bows. And the reason that this is so important is because there's no precise test for ovarian cancer. And many, many people don't know that. So the awareness is all we have. And, being aware of yourself. And that's the reason that this lady who started it, she passed away of ovarian cancer. She started in 2007 and passed away in 2008. But her husband continued it, and her family continued it. Her husband and family continued this on. Her name was Gail McNeil. But it's in about 34 states now. I have a cousin who does Vermont, 5 towns in Vermont did it. It's it builds up, and it's really, I actually enjoy doing it. It's not work at all. It's really an enjoyment for me.
Well, we can't thank you enough, and a lot of people should understand that there's really no real warning signs until it's too late.
I'm a survivor
So.
myself.
Kill.
And, so it's really,
It took Gilda Ratner, remember her? And it took her very quickly.
that
So.
happens quite often. It varies with everybody. It varies with people. There are people who do have a lot of symptoms, but they're symptoms that are mostly they wind up at a gastroenterologist because that's the kind of symptoms there are for this. And it's a little scary because it gets misdiagnosed so often. And that's, so awareness is all we have. And that's why we're doing this.
Okay.
Well, thank
Thank
you.
you very much, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, can I ask the board to just pass the resolution? Pass a resolution allowing them to put these ribbons around the town of Monroe?
May I make that resolution?
Yeah,
please?
sure.
I'd like to make the resolution that around the town of Monroe throughout the month of September, that we do have those teal ribbons to bring to everyone's attention the importance of ovarian cancer. And I hope all of us, so as many people can join in and help out, and we can raise awareness.
And
So I'd like to make that motion.
I will second that,
Okay.
absolutely.
Any other discussion? I will tell you that I have known Kathy for over 25 years, and her family. She is very dedicated to this cause, and I think it's something that will bring so much awareness, more so than has been out there. And I would hope that when this comes to fruition, we're able to, you will be able to put some bows on Town Hall in that area, just so, that's noticed by people who walk in Town Hall, so.
I promise we'll have them down.
Okay. All right, thank you. So, can we,
Could you get a couple of flyers to leave them there?
yeah, I got it, yep. So can we call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye?
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay, so moved. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
You need any other additional help, please let us know. Reach out to us, because we have the parks, we have the senior center, obviously, this is the senior center, and there's plenty of locations. We will help you get some awareness out there with the ribbons. All right, thank you, Colleen. Thank you, Kathy, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item, just an announcement on the acceleration of the town of Palm Tree. The Senate had passed the bill, and the Assembly last week passed the bill, gave final approval on Thursday, June 14th, to a bill accelerating the separation of Kyrus Joel from Monroe in order to become its own town, called Palm Tree, which will commence in January of 2019, 1 year earlier than state law would have otherwise allowed. I believe the only hindrance to this would be a veto by the governor, and that would happen prior to the end of this month's session. This is something that was, the community approved overwhelmingly, and it's something that I think will mend a lot of fences between the two communities. In the fall, the way I was led to believe and understand it, the village of Kyrus Joel will only be able to vote on their supervisor and their council people. So that's that. We need a motion to approve the May 21st, 2018 Town Board minutes.
I'd like to have that tabled. There are two things that the town clerk was going to verify for me. Three things, I think.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, we table it, based on the clerk's recommendation.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. So moved. Next up is the approval of the June 4th, 2018 Town Board meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to have those minutes approved.
I'll second.
Any other discussion, corrections, changes? Nope. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay, next under old business is the proposed local law number 7 of 2018 of the Incorporated Town of Monroe, New York Town Board, amending chapters 57 and A65 of the Code of the Town of Monroe. This local law essentially will be for post-planning charges, and I'll read the local law. To amend Chapter 57, Article 8, Section 57-29, and Chapter A65, Article 9, Section A65-28 of the Town Code of the Town of Monroe, Orange County, New York. be it enacted as follows. Section 1, authority. This local law is enacted pursuant to the relevant provisions of the New York State Constitution, New York State Municipal Home Rule, New York State Town Law, and the general police powers vested with the town to promote health, safety, and general welfare of all residents and property owners in the town. Section 2, title and purpose. The law shall be titled and known as and may be cited as Local Law Number 7 of 2018. The purpose of this local law is to amend Chapter 57, Article 8, Section 57-29, and Chapter A65, Article 9, Section A65-28 of the Town Code to clarify the reasonable inspection fees and to ensure that certain safeguards are established to assure that the necessary and commonly charged inspection fees are assessed properly. This local law will ensure uniformity and predictability of the inspection fee structures concerning site plan and subdivision approvals, and it allows for annual review and modification of fees if necessary. Section 3, the amendments. Chapter 57, Article 8, Section 57-29 is hereby amended to read as follows. Section 57-29, inspection fees. Any applicant who has received site plan approval shall, prior to signing of the plans, unless another time shall be fixed pursuant to a public improvement security agreement entered into with the town, deliver to the town a certified or cashier's check to the order of the town in the amount of 5% of the amount of the performance bond or 5% of the estimated cost of required improvements unless estimated otherwise in writing by the town engineer, in order to cover the expense of the town inspecting various improvements proposed on the site plan. The amount so deposited may be modified annually as determined by a resolution of the town board. The other amendment, Chapter A65, Article 9, Section A65-28 is hereby amended to read. Section A65-28, inspection fees. A, any applicant who has received subdivision approval shall, prior to signing of the plot, unless another time shall be fixed pursuant to a public improvement security agreement entered into with the town, deliver to the town a certified or cashier's check to the order of the town in the amount of 5% of the amount of the estimated cost of required improvements unless otherwise estimated by the town engineer, in order to cover the expense of the town inspecting the various improvements proposed on the plot. B, the amount so deposited may be modified annually as determined by the resolution of the town board. Section 4, repeal, amendment, and supersession of other laws. All other resolutions, ordinances, and or local laws of the town of Monroe which conflict with the provisions of the local law are hereby superseded or repealed to the extent necessary to give this local law full force and effect. Section 5, State Environmental Quality Review Act, pursuant to 6 NYCRR 617.5, open parentheses 20, close parentheses, and open parentheses 27, close parentheses. This local law is classified as a Type 2 action which requires no further review under the State Environmental Quality Review Act. Section 6, severability. If the provisions of any article, section, subsection, paragraph, subdivision, or clause of this local law shall be judged invalid by a court of competent jurisdiction, such order of judgment shall not affect or invalidate the remainder of any article, section, subsection, paragraph, subdivision, or clause of this local law. Section 7, the effective date. This local law shall take effect immediately upon filing in the office of the Secretary of State in accordance with Section 27 of the New York State Municipal Home Rule Law. Any questions?
Yes.
Supervisor, as you may recall, we had left this open for comments from Mr. Edsel. We did get some comments, so there are some changes. They're not material changes that would necessarily, require the board to wait, but you can do that if you want. Essentially, I can tell you that the changes are going to be the reference to the Public Improvement Security Agreement would be removed, that parenthetical, rather than making the posting contingent on that. It would just be posted regardless of whether that agreement is done yet. They would have to post it. It would refer to performance security instead of a performance bond. And same thing in A6528, the parenthetical about the public improvement security agreement would be out. And the rather than 5% that's in that paragraph, it would just basically say the cashier's check to the order of the town in the amount as estimated by the town engineer. So it wouldn't be a 5% on that one. So if the board wants, we can provide a final version if you want to adopt at the next meeting. Again, the changes, I wouldn't consider them material, but that's up to the board. If you want to see the final version, we can provide that to you and then put it on the next meeting.
I also had a question. This local law shall be titled and known and may be cited as local law. I thought it was supposed to be local law 8. I thought 7 was the alternate members.
Okay, at the last meeting, we had the public hearing for local law number 8 at 7 o'clock and 7:30 local law number 7. We approved local law number 8, which then, because it was introductory 8, it then became number 7 because we did it before number 8. So just to let everybody know, there was an issue with the local law, and we are going to be reintroducing it at the next meeting, so it was not sent to the state. So this law, if it was approved tonight, becomes number 7.
Thank you for that clarification.
Okay. I would like to make a motion to approve this local law number 7 of 2018, since our attorney feels the changes are immaterial.
With the revisions as noted by Mr. Nugent,
Correct.
then I would second that.
Yeah, so it would be, you'd be adopting
You have to
with the
make it
modifications I mentioned.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I just, discussion?
Yeah.
All right, so, is there a reason, or did Mr. Edsel make it known why the 5%, as opposed to him fixing?
Actually, that was a typo. The 5% is not in the subdivision section, so that's why that was out. That wasn't there to begin with.
Oh, okay.
So that's why that particular one was removed. Really, his changes were the reference to the public improvement security agreement, which was in a parenthetical, suggested that it had to be set forth in there, and his concern was that it should just be posted regardless of whether that agreement has been finalized or yet. They still would have the obligation to post the money. So that was really the change there, and just the term bond being changed to security, as it may not necessarily be a bond. But that second paragraph is really not a change. It's not there to begin with. It reads now that the amount posted will be as estimated by the engineer, so you really wouldn't be changing anything there.
So it doesn't read 5%?
Not the subdivision section, no. The first one does when you
Right.
talk about site plan,
Yep.
but the subdivision just says now as estimated by the engineer, so that was just a typo that shouldn't have been in there in the first place. So those are essentially the changes recommended by Mr. Edsel, were to not tie this to the public improvement security agreement and to just refer to security rather than calling it a bond.
Okay. Everybody okay with that?
If you want, actually, I have, maybe just for the record so that it's clear, why don't I just read the two sections as they are changed? In other words, not the whole law that you just read, but I can read 5729, and so you can hear how that will read. Any applicant who has received site plan approval shall, prior to the signing of the plans, deliver to the town a certified or cashier's check payable to the order of the town for the inspection fees in the amount of 5% of the amount of the performance security, or 5% of the estimated cost of the required improvements, unless estimated otherwise in writing by the town engineer, in order to cover the expenses of the town inspecting the various improvements proposed on the site plan. The inspection fees so deposited may be modified annually as determined by resolution of the town board. This language might also be additional. We wanted to clarify, inspection fees are not held in escrow or otherwise considered as deposits with the town. In the event that improvements are not constructed and no inspections are conducted, an applicant may submit a request in writing to the town board for a refund, which will not be unreasonably denied. And I apologize, that was his last recommendation, was to make it clear that this is not an escrow, it's basically an inspection fee to be paid and gets deposited into the town rather than held and then deducted from. If for some reason the project didn't go forward and there were no inspections, that would be the only case someone could ask for any refund.
So in other words, Mike, I think what happened with the 5% is traditionally, over the course of, I think he said like 10 years, the 5% is what he felt would be, the towns or villages would be protected by, and they're not giving any of the money, they're not returning any of the money after the fact. So, you know, let's say 5% of a certain subdivision is $50,000, and they only use $40,000 in fees. The 10% still is retained by the town. But there is the option to pass a resolution to add
Yes.
money to it.
Yeah, my only concern is, and again, this is no reflection on the engineer, is just that, you know, if you had someone else in there that was more, like, say, developer friendly, and they were kind of lowballing those fees, we would be kind of back where we started on the hook for some of this stuff, if there wasn't enough, you know.
Well, the engineer,
request.
our
The engineer determines
our
the
engineer
fees.
determines that.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, I'm not directing this at Mark. I'm just saying some future engineer or somebody else that might have it. I have an issue with it being that power being placed solely in the engineer's hands. That's all, without there being some other type of parameter or guideline for how much it should be. That's listen.
Well, I think the number has to be approved by the town board as well.
It also says modified by us.
Yeah, well, you can modify it, yes.
We can modify it as a board.
Yeah, they may modify, well, it says they may be
That's the
modified
bottom.
annually as determined by resolution of the town board.
Right.
So if the initial estimate you determine is inaccurate, you'd be able to pass a resolution to modify it.
Right, and I think it helps clear up the,
Ambiguity?
well, the accounting problems that we've encountered in the past, where, you know, they only put in, let's say, $35,000, and you are doing $50,000 worth of inspections, and then to go and try to get that extra $15,000 from a developer, it's almost impossible sometimes. So I think this is a safer way to cover the town, so we don't run into shortages with inspection fees.
And there were also recent jobs where no money was posted, and the town paid over $60,000 in fees on one job I know of. So,
Yeah, no, listen, I agree it needs to be done.
No, I know that.
My sole concern is with that, how that gets estimated and it being, you know, I felt with the 5% that there was at least a bottom line as opposed to someone kind of arbitrarily saying,
Well,
and again, I'm not saying that would be the case, but, you know.
I think it's got to be a percentage of the job, because if you have a 10-lot subdivision and you have a 60-lot subdivision.
Right.
you're
No, I know there's got to be a
yeah.
percentage, but by taking the percentage out, that was my only concern.
Well,
I mean, you
again,
can let it
we're-
go. I'm not-
just to
I'm
be
not- I'm
clear,
just saying-
I just want to be clear, we're not taking, the percentage is not in the law now. We have two different things. We have site plan, which is what I just read. Subdivision, I'm about to read, that's the second paragraph. That never had a percentage in it. In your current law, it doesn't have a percentage. Only the site plan has a percentage. Typically, I believe the town engineer may have applied the 5%, you know, practically speaking, but basically for subdivision, it is an amount estimated by the town engineer. That's all there is. Now, if you want a percentage, you know, then we would be changing that to include one. But right now, as the law exists today, you don't have a percentage in there, and you have not had a percentage.
Any other discussion? Call the question?
So can we, just for the record, read in this second paragraph of the
Sure.
subdivision? I didn't read that. So the last sentence is going to be the same, but it's going to read, any applicant who has received subdivision approval shall, prior to the signing of the plat, deliver to the town a certified or cashier's check payable to the order of the town for the inspection fees in an amount estimated by the town engineer in order to cover the expenses of the town inspecting the various improvements proposed. And then the same language about the fees not being held in escrow, but deposited, you know, with the town, as I read from the other section. So that's how those two paragraphs would read.
Okay. Call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Again,
Okay, so moved. 5.2, Highway Department truck purchase. Mr. Sherney.
Yes, sir. All right, I did hear through the grapevine there was some bond monies available as well as some monies in general. This is to replace a 1998 International plow truck. It's a four-wheel drive vehicle. That plow truck was actually bought in 1998 through funding from Larkin, Senator Larkin. I would replace that with a Mack under the Onondaga County. Yeah, that's it. County heavy truck class and statewide contract. Okay, and that would be a $238,000.96.34. So $238,096.34, and that would need to be done. I would need a letter of at least what's that, content for the seller within the next couple of weeks, so we can secure that price.
A letter of intent?
Intent, yes, not
Letter of intent to purchase.
Thank you.
Any questions?
What fund is this gonna come out of? Do you know yet?
It's probably going to come out of one of the capital funds.
I'm not sure. Is this going to be the bond monies that you're?
Oh, I'm sorry, wait, this is right. This
All right,
is,
be the bond.
this is bond.
All right, so it's out of capital, and then we get reimbursed on the bond.
This is bonded, yeah.
All right, that's fine.
And the second one, no, you got to vote on that, or you want to vote on the same, or how do you want to do that?
No, we're going to vote separately, but go
Okay,
ahead,
separate.
you could go first.
Okay, the second one would be replacing 2006 Chevy 3500. That's a Mason dump. Okay, this thing would be actually going out for some sort of bid or something like that. It's really worth nothing, and it's starting to fall apart on us. But hopefully, I'll put it out on the Auctions International and try to get something out of it. The actual '98 International four-wheel drive, I would like to keep for a spare. I don't want to get rid of that yet. It's going to need clutch, it's going to need brake work, it's going to need some money, but we should still be able to get, as a spare, a few years out of it. So, but anyway, that truck there, that was the Dodge 2018 5500 regular cab, four-wheel drive. That comes with the plow, it's heavy duty, it's diesel, and that with, I'm not sure what state bid Robert Green is under, but they are in a state contract, but that's $56,125. That would have to come out of capital.
Right.
At that point.
That's pick 'em up.
That is actually a Mason dump. A
Mason dump,
two-ton, yeah, two-ton truck.
And how old is the number 17?
That was 2006, so if we was to follow our, my little truck replacement schedule, I mean, this is what happens, unfortunately, when we fall behind. It's just, we have fell behind, so right now, normally we'd be asking for one truck and try to keep up with them, but, these trucks, they go through a heck of a beating, and some you could keep for another couple of years if you put them on the side and just use them as a spare if something breaks down, and some you got to just get rid of and cut your losses.
Is the Mac worth anything, the first truck?
Oh, the old International? Yeah, that you could get some money out of that, but like I say, to keep that for a spare, we do need spares.
Okay.
And that's a spare with a wing. We don't have a spare with a wing, so that's something that's very important when you get on these bigger roads.
No, the Chevy is a dump stuff?
Yes, they're both dump trucks, yes.
All right. You can't, it's a regular cab, it doesn't come...
Regular cab, I wouldn't, I know you like the extended or the crew cabs. I wouldn't do that with a Mason dump because of the turning radius on them. They just get a little too long for you.
Okay.
But I like, the pickups, that's a good
Not a
idea.
worry.
But
Not a worry.
yeah, they get a little bigger,
Okay. What I would like to do is, I would like to speak to our finance department prior to approving these, so number one, we get a line item for the replacement of the Mason dump.
Yep.
And I just would like to also see how much is in our capital exactly for the
dump.
The larger dump.
Okay.
So I would like to approve these at the first July meeting, if nobody has any objection to that.
Do you need that letter
The only
of intent
July meeting.
before?
2 weeks, I'll call the 2 weeks. I think we should be close. I mean,
It's July 9th.
yeah, even if we miss that deadline from the Mac dealer, you're looking at probably raising the price a couple grand. But I mean, it can get by. But that's fine with me. I mean,
You wanna
that's
approve the
How long do you have on those locked in, those numbers?
Yeah.
Those
Oh, no,
lock-
the MAC is a bond.
The MAC is the bond number, but the dealer right now, I think it goes into the next year, very shortly. So he was looking for a letter of intent that we was gonna buy that vehicle.
Okay.
And that way, you're getting it at the 2018 price rather than the 2019 price. If we go with the 2019 price, it might go up another $2,500.
Right.
Okay.
John,
What's
Yes.
the board's pleasure?
just what year was the pickup, number 18?
That was number 2006 Chevy 3500.
Thank you.
Well, that was 17.
That was 17, yes, ma'am.
What's 18? Number
18 is still the old pickup we have, the red one. Number 9 is the 1998 International.
But I think we should authorize a letter of intent that's going to be paid for with a bond, right?
Yeah.
The international, the
19,
MAC.
the MAC.
Yeah, that's replacing number 9.
Yes.
Okay?
That's really the,
You want to make a motion?
Mr. Superintendent, is that really the one that we need to focus on for?
Yeah, we definitely need to
timely?
focus on both of them. I mean, but that's the one we want to get in soon for the wintertime for sure.
Right.
You want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we authorize a letter of intent be sent to the dealer
For the bond of the
on
Mack,
behalf of the town
for the Mack truck.
for the,
Yes,
yes,
for
the
the-
replacement for the international, number 9.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
And, well, do you also want to include that it will be bonded?
To be paid for with the bond, yes.
Now I will second that.
Okay. Any other discussion? Council, are we okay with that motion?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved.
I do have a couple other things, Tony, if you don't mind me keep going, just for more informational purposes than anything.
Go ahead.
All right. Okay, Water District number 8, we will be doing the wet tap. That will be Wednesday. And hopefully have that tank drained and back online. I know I said a week, but said that a few months ago. But hopefully that's still moving forward. It's just been a time-consuming process. Once you get the Board of Health involved and things of that nature, it gets a little tricky. So, but we are moving forward on that. Also, Water District number 8, we had a generator repair. I actually had a price to repair that at $4,100 and $4,112.38, which was kind of expensive to me. So we had 2 mechanics work on that. They quoted 6 hours labor. My guys got it done in 4. And the total cost of that project was $1,285.96. That's with the parts and everything. So we was able to save Water District 8 a little bit of money, and I will submit an invoice to Peter Martin for that, so we keep everything on the up and up with that. Our big road project coming up is going to be off of Hilltop Road. That's going to be Billwood, Elmwood, Hilltop, not Hilltop. Billwood, yes, Billwood, Elmwood, Hilltop, Ryan Court, Suddy, and Williams. Unfortunately, we're going to have to replace all the curbs up there.
And that's coming out of your capital.
That comes out of my monies, yes. Years and years of oil and chip, that's what happens. The curbs kind of disappear on you, and that's exactly what happened.
Are there any curb cuts up there for handicapped accessibility?
No sidewalks, it's all
No
just...
sidewalks.
Yep, curbs with driveways. So Highway's working on that now. That's going to start actually Thursday. If anybody's looking for millings, please stop by, because we're going to have some shortly as well. Anyway, ATEC Concrete, he's going to be doing the curbs, $156,000 that is. It's big money. But the total project right now projected is $314,650. That's going to be coming out of my, monies for my line items. But that's where we're at. That's our big project for the year, and it's going to be starting on Thursday. So just so you guys know that right off the top.
You also had something about Water District 12, the control panel.
Control panel, Water District 12. The electrician will be up there, I believe, Wednesday. Okay, so he's going to be doing that, and I'm hoping that's going to be no interruption of service at all. So, but please pass the word around if George could actually put that on your website shortly with millings. Anybody that needs millings, I cannot really keep them too long at the highway garage, so we would deliver them to you, but you have to have a machine to move them around. You know, so when that happens, I gotta be able to do it quick. But, anybody that needs them, come stop by the highway garage, sign the stuff that, we need so we can dump them in your driveway. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, John. Okay, 5.3, the RFP for refuse and recycle. Councilman Cologne?
Okay, all of that seems to be squared away. I was speaking with council, there's only 2 minor adjustments to be made, and we can have that out tomorrow.
Yeah, that was sent today to the town, so you should have that.
Okay.
All right, so it'll be out tomorrow, and we'll decide on the night.
Mary Ellen, you're okay?
I'm good, so I will email the board and let them know the return date, and I will get it out to the proper places.
Okay, thank you.
All done.
Okay, item 5.4, the HVAC repair at the Monroe Theater. I would like to table that because Councilman McGinn and myself are working on getting a third quote rather than just the 2 we have. So I would like to make a motion to table that.
I'll make that motion to table.
I'll second.
Okay, so moved.
Table by Cologne.
What's that?
Table by Cologne.
Yep. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, I
Okay. Item 5.5 is the 2018-19 County Executive Arts, Heritage, and Tourism Grants Program. We need a resolution that the town will allow a specific project, performance, display, workshop, class, lecture, etc. that'll be accessible to the general public on or before October 1st, 2018, and completed by October 1st, 2019. The grant is up to $5,000, which will be awarded to individual artists, organizations, venues, and municipalities in Orange County to support artistic, cultural, and historical events, projects, performances, workshops, classes, and displays accessible to the general public that promote tourism related to economic development. So we need a motion because it's part of the grant process, and a second and a resolution passed in order to apply for this. This has got to be in by June 21st. Jen has been working on it a little bit. It was brought to us by Mary McGinn.
No.
So, Mary Bingham. There I go again. Mary Bingham. All right, Freudian, sorry. It was brought to us by Mary Bingham. That's Mary Bingham, B-I-N-G-H-A-M.
That's the one with the sign over there.
So Mary, I'm going to ask you to make the motion.
I will make the motion.
I'll second it.
Councilman Scancarello beat you to it. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
again, I
Okay, I'd like to move public comment up now before new business because we're going to have to go into executive session. So if nobody has an issue with it, could you read off the people who signed up for public comment?
Lorraine Loning. Mike Goldstein.
Good evening, Mike Goldstein, resident of the town and village. At the last town board meeting, Councilman McGinn chastised me for quoting from the settlement agreement between United Monroe and Curious Joel. He pointed out that the agreement had nothing to do with the board. You, sir, in my opinion, are wrong. It had everything to do with the town board. The document usurped the rightful power of the board by allowing a political party, albeit one that put Mr. Cardone and Mr. McGinn on the board, to take control of town business. The document enabled Mr. Egan and Mr. Allegro a platform to get the citizens of Monroe to fight.
Okay, Mr. Goldstein, let's get one thing straight here.
Would you stop me?
No, I'll tell her when to stop the clock, okay? You're not here to discuss political issues. So if you have nothing else to say, I'm going to ask you to step down from the mic. Because if you're talking about political issues, you're not allowed to speak to it.
Then
Speak
why
about
do
it.
you allow United Monroe to talk about political issues? Everything they
Um,
did was a political issue.
I
under-
am talking to you. I'm not
Right.
talking to United Monroe.
Are you
So
going to
it-
talk to them when they come here and put it up again? No, you're not, are you?
Mr. Goldstein, I'm not going to talk about hypotheticals here.
This is not hypothetical.
No,
This is what happened.
your suggestion to me is hypothetical.
Which one?
If United Monroe comes here again.
Oh.
If they come here again, I will address it at that time.
I see, but
Your time is
history-
now. I'm asking you to stop speaking if you're only going to talk about political issues.
I figured you'd stop me in 1 minute, but I got a little long, and I won't forget it.
Is that a threat?
No threats.
Okay, thank you.
Ward
Next.
Brower?
Ward Brower, private citizen. Again, I request that the board bring back department reports with the heads of that department or representative from that department. Because spending 5 extra hours on the internet to find out something that you probably can't find out is ridiculous. And it used to be done for decades. Also bring back the controller. Tonight we could have used them. We haven't had a controller's report since the beginning of the year. Now, on a more fastidious occasion, in a couple of weeks we'll be celebrating the 4th of July. And it's more than just food trucks and fireworks. 4th of July, otherwise known as Independence Day, celebrated when 13 colonies eventually won their or declared their independence from Great Britain. That's celebrated. But another event, a decade and a little bit later, took place, which actually formed this country of the United States. And when the Constitution was ratified, that formed the United States of America. And almost immediately, the framers of that document realized there was a lot of oopses. So they created what's known as the Bill of Rights, otherwise first 10 Amendments. And the First Amendment on that Bill of Rights was freedom of speech, the right to address your government, to inform your government of your opinion, not the government what they want to hear. Now, members of this board, you were sworn to support the Constitution. I know I was sworn to support the Constitution. I know when I served in the military I was. And I was fortunate. No one shot at me, but many of my fellow members weren't so fortunate, and their names were on a certain wall down in Washington. But we sacrificed, those more than others, to support the Bill of Rights and the entire Constitution. What I saw at the last meeting was shocking. When a private citizen voiced a complaint against, a criticism against his government, a certain member of this board chastised him. You're supposed to support the Constitution, not deny people their constitutional rights. That's a problem I have. I think in the future, maybe these town board members ought to have a class in constitutional law. And furthermore, maybe that individual, that private citizen, ought to get a public apology. Just because we're a member of a board or a quasi-board, we do not lose our First Amendment rights. As long as we preface it, private citizen, or this is my opinion, we have that right. As long as it's still the United States of America, not some gunboat republic or some dictatorship such as North Korea, that's what we have, and that's how we hope it will remain that way. And I was appalled at what happened last time. That individual was denied, or yeah, he already stated, but he was chastised for using his constitutional rights, and it was done in a demeaning way. That's even more insulting. Thank you.
Supervisor, you did have a resident come up and ask if she could sign up. It's after the time.
Sure.
Sue?
Susan Pendergast, Monroe, New York. I just want to say I want to thank you for the Monroe Community Day.
If you hold the base, you can pull it
You
down.
can also move
Just bend it.
Just bend it very
There
good.
you go. My husband and I attended the community day for a little while, because as you know, he had surgery. We really enjoyed it. The bands were great. The food trucks were wonderful. It's hard to pick what we wanted to eat, and even just as my husband's been recovering, the other week I attended the gardening thing at the Monroe Theater, and while I was driving there, I saw the history walk around town, and between the farm market and all the other things that are going on, the art thing that's being worked on, it just gives me a feeling of how it used to be. And I want to thank you for that. I went home several weeks ago and I said to my husband, I said it was just so nice to see the people in town and hustling and bustling and walking around and smiles on their faces. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all.
Anyone want to comment?
Anybody? No? I'll just say one thing in response to Mr. Brower's comments. No one was denied their constitutional right to speak, Mr. Brower. All right. Someone leveled a charge against us as a board of equating us to Mr. Doles and him holding executive sessions so people would leave so the board can then vote on what they want to vote on. That's not what we did. Clearly not what we did. We haven't done it in the past. It was just a lengthy executive session that had to be addressed. I take umbrage, and I have a right of free speech as well, to refute when somebody says something, all right? And being compared to that individual, I found to be quite insulting, all right? I didn't mean to insult or demean anybody, but you know what? It's a two-way street. So freedom of speech goes both ways, and I'm not going to sit here and get beaten like a piñata over nonsense. So that's my response to you.
Susan, thank you for your positive comments about Community Day, the Farmers Market, the museum, everything. We are working hard as we can to make positive changes in this community. And personally, I think a momentum is building in Monroe, and I think you can see it in the streets, and you can feel it. And there's a lot more good stuff to come.
May I?
Yeah, go ahead.
As a town board, as I walk through town, many people tell us how there's been a significant change in the whole demeanor and how this board is approaching its business, how we get things done. At our last meeting, I think that we have accomplished more in one meeting than that previously would have in a whole year. So we're trying our best. But again, what we're trying to have here during public comment is if somebody's going to come up and say something, it should be in a civil discord, not in an outright attack of any individual or what we do as a board. This board is trying to be positive. We're trying to get the community back together. It's a healing process, and I think we're well on the road for that. I want to thank all of the board members and all the hard work, as well as Anne Marie, who put in quite an extensive time, and Mr. Sancarello on Saturday's salute to our first responders. There's more good things to come, but I understand you cannot please everybody. There will always be a voice of discord, and I understand that, but I think it should be done in a civil manner and not accusatory and name-calling. Thank you.
Mary?
Been here now for 6 months, and there is a learning process, and sometimes executive sessions are at the end and they only last 2 or 3 minutes and we come right back out. But as other board members have said, there were a lot of items on the prior meeting's executive session, and it had to be done to accommodate some of the time frames of the people who appeared before the executive session. So I don't think in the future it's going to happen again, and hopefully we will be more cognizant of the residents who do attend the meetings so that they can see the entire process. And that's all I have to say.
I'll be real quick. Just with respect to this week's Community Day, thank you for your positive comments. I will tell you that Councilman Scancarello and Anne Marie Morris were as dedicated and as passionate as anybody has been in seeing this come to fruition. We had Valerie, who was diligent with the website. My secretary, Jennifer, was over the top when it came to making sure all the I's were dotted, T's were crossed. We had our highway department, which chipped in, our maintenance department, which was phenomenal. Dial Bus helped out, shuttling some people back and forth. It was a phenomenal day. But the most important part of that day was not about the food trucks. It was about the first responders. And I don't mean that the food wasn't good, because the food was excellent, and we got so many compliments, not only from people, but from the food vendors. And that falls on Councilman Scancarello. He did a phenomenal job with that. But when it comes to our first responders, we had over 100 of them check in. We had over 60 firemen. We had 22 ambulance members, 10 or 11 from the Monroe PD, and we had 2 state troopers that came by and physically went up to Anne Marie and myself and Councilman Scancarello and thanked us very much for acknowledging their hard work and efforts. And that is what this Community Day was about. And no, and I'm not directing that at you. Believe me, I'm not directing it at you. I just wanted to clarify it from some other comments that were made. So when it comes to moving forward, we want to do this in the future again. We're probably going to pick a date sometime in September or October, and we're going to step it up a little bit then. It was wonderful to see the over 2,000 people that we're estimating came in there, and those estimates are based on the amount of traffic that we saw on an hourly basis and what type of traffic the food trucks got. So, I mean, it was well beyond what we had anticipated it was going to be, and I'm glad we did it. The community's glad we did it, and I would like Councilman Scancarello to read a couple of comments of text that he got from some of the vendors there, because it was spot on, top notch.
So we have Sugar Megs Rags, who was that traveling boutique store, was outside. She said, Sal, we had a great time yesterday. The music was top notch, not a bad band in the bunch. You guys did a fine job. We look forward to this day again real soon. I have some other ones. Corvette's Cookies said to the town board, you and your team did a wonderful job. I am so impressed with all of your energy. I am hoping to work with you on multiple projects. You and your town board's outlook is so needed in today's world.
And I'm not asking him to do this so there's a pat on the back for this town board. That's not what we're about here. We just want everybody to know that the positivity that was there
excellent.
Did not only come from residents, it came from the vendors who actually paid to be there. So, I mean, I think it's very important that people understand that.
Yeah, I checked in yesterday and today with every food truck and every person that was there selling, the clothing boutique or the henna artist, and everyone surpassed their expectations of what they thought this First Responders Day was going to be. Every food truck is more than happy to come back to Monroe again, and some of them were 2-hour drives. So they put their neck out, and they are more than happy to come back. They loved the community. They had a great day. They sold some food. They made some money, and they're ready to come back so we can do it again.
Just so you know, the lobster truck sold out of lobster rolls within like 2 hours. You still could have got one at Vesuvius because she had it. Okay, and then the waffles and dingies.
Yeah.
I think he had 3 waffles left at the end of the day. And he came over to Amory at the end of the night and was so appreciative. So.
But also what I got from the vendors, they also liked the crowd. They said this was a really good crowd, and I heard that from vendor after vendor. So they enjoyed the people, and they enjoyed the town of Monroe as well. So I think that says a lot for the people in this town.
And Susan, also on the farmers market, that is a work in progress, but as you can see every week, there is more and more traffic there. There's more and more vendors. There was a cooking demonstration by Johnny Chow on Sunday. I think he made a Willie Nelson Texas stew or something. But more things like that to come, Susan. We're glad you're acknowledging it and you're seeing the positive things we're doing.
And Johnny Chow was our MC that day. I don't know. I don't know if you got to listen to him. He was hysterical. He plays the harmonica awesome
really
too.
good.
He actually was Michael Jackson's chef. He's cooked for Willie Nelson. He's cooked for
Merle Haggard.
Merle Haggard.
He's also played with Johnny
character.
Winters.
Yeah. Yes, and
He also
he
played with
has
him.
he has a couple cooking books out too. So he's a resident of Greenwood Lake. Grew up in Greenwood Lake. So
Graduated Monroe Woodbury.
graduated Monroe. His brother actually graduated same year I did. So you know.
It was good to see so many smiling faces, all together, everyone having a good time. That, to me, first responders, number one, and the smiling faces from our community was number two. It was just a great day.
Okay, on to new business. I just want to skip around here a little bit. We have a request from Water District number 10.
Good evening. Tor Nippo, I'm here for Side Construction and my father Canute. We are he's building a house on Pine Tree Road, which is in the District 10 Water District, and he's asking if the town will let him connect to the Water District.
Okay. What you are adjacent to properties that are in Water District 10,
We're
correct?
in the district. We're right next to the adjacents, but yes.
Okay. So what through the little research that I did after you had submitted a request for agenda time, Water District 10 has a little over $18,000 in bonds or bonding that was done for improvements and whatnot. I would like to discuss with our attorney, if the board does approve this, what type of tap-in fees and other costs associated with it that you would have to bear. I think it's something that's got to be fair for the current residents of Water District 10. So once we settle down and do that, I would like, if you could give us till the July 9th meeting to approve it. I think it's, it's something that we need to look at a little more in depth. Does anyone have any questions?
Well, town code specifies what the tap-in fee is, but
Right.
I don't think anything is in town code as to, you wouldn't want somebody coming in the day after or the day before a bond was paid off and expecting a free ride. So I'm sure we can come up with some equitable workout. I don't remember exactly how many members or residents are in that district. It's over 100, I'm pretty sure.
No. Water
No?
District 10?
10?
No, there's like 20 maybe.
Very minimal.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's the little one, okay. Yeah, so it'd be fair, it's Sandy's home, yeah. So, yeah, so it has to be fair to the residents who've been paying for those improvements over the years. Okay.
So let me ask just the board, I mean, is there any major objections or objections to this going forward?
Just get a legal opinion and go forward with it.
Okay.
All right, thank
All
you.
right, so we'll put it on the agenda for next meeting.
You got it.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Goshen Truck Wash, Fleet Wash. John?
I really don't have too much on this. I believe they were looking for grant monies, or they're getting a grant money to make a fleet wash for their trucks. And I mean, my email back to you was, we do have our own wash bay. We utilize that, after usually each storm, and Dial-A-Bus uses that, so we're working out pretty good right now. Of course, you could always go bigger and better. It would be good for us if something bad happened to our wash bay to where he was down for a couple months and was able to use it. And I believe that's what they were looking for, people that different municipalities that maybe do not have a facility of their own, that can use it and do intermunicipality cooperation agreements.
Yeah.
So, but as far as I'm concerned, we're good right now, but if it ever came up a problem, I mean, we should be able to, call them up and hopefully utilize it. But I don't know any other information on it.
Okay.
That's going to be vital.
I mean, it was just a preliminary type
Right.
ask, and it's got to do with shared services that the
Right.
county is, organizing right now with the state.
I mean, right now, Town of Monroe is good. We're self-sufficient.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's a good thing, but
Hey, what about Dial-A-Bus? What do they?
Dial-A-Bus use our wash bay as well
Yours
on
also?
Fridays, yes.
Okay.
Okay. As far as the Sherry Torah School, we need to go into executive session for that prior to making a determination there. And then, Council, the waiver release for the paddleboard use at Round Lake Boathouse, are you okay with that?
Yeah, our office has been working with Anne Marie and provided the latest version. I think there were some questions that she might have sent today, so I'm not sure that that's in final form, because there was a question about age, I believe, or adding restrictions, so, I'm not sure I would go forward with approving it until we know that that is going to be the final form, because I think that was sort of left open today.
I think her main concern was that the kayak and the paddle boards, they're only a one-person user item. So 16-year-olds have expressed a big interest in using this type of equipment. So the forms would need to be specific to kayak and paddle boards only for 16-year-olds, whereas some of the other equipment there is for older users. So I guess school is still in session, so the 16-year-olds are going to be out for maybe a week later. I don't know if holding it up 2 weeks is going to make a big impact, but I think, as soon as the kids get out of school, they want to do something.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should probably authorize it with the changes that council would like to make, just so we can get it done and out there.
I agree.
As the season goes on, it'll be another 2 weeks before we meet again, so.
And it'll
probably
be
wouldn't
well
a bad
into the
idea.
season. I'd rather get something preliminary.
All right. Somebody want to make a motion?
Yeah, so if you want, I would recommend someone make a motion to approve the waiver in a final form as approved by Town Council and Director of Recreation.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye?
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved. Councilman McGinn, did you have another item for new business?
Yeah, it wasn't on the agenda, and just because someone brought it to my attention just a few days ago, actually over the weekend. So, let me find my page here. Give me a second. Okay. So the Monroe Woodbury Community Coalition, it was founded. It's a local group that is dedicated to stopping drug abuse and amongst other things. So they had requested that we put a online survey, which is anonymous, on our website and also on Channel 22, that is geared at kind of gauging from the public what they see as being the major drug problems in their neighborhoods, whether they think youth are using it. If there's questions on there that are geared at youth to say, hey, are you using it? And what do you think are the big issues? And obviously, everyone knows there's a major problem in this county and the country right now with opioid abuse, and this survey is kind of geared at getting a handle on it. Again, it's anonymous. It doesn't come back to anybody. It's done on SurveyMonkey. So the There's no, it's not like a snitch hotline or a snitch survey or something like that. What this is, it's to get a better idea so that law enforcement, but also the treatment treatment facilities and local government can get an idea of where the problems exist and what those problems are. So, so I received that request from Village of Monroe PD to put that on our website. The Village of Monroe currently has it on there, as well as the other surrounding towns and villages. So I'd like to make a motion that we put the SurveyMonkey survey on the town website and also on Channel 22.
All right, I'll second that.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, I
Okay, so moved. I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss contracts. Yeah, I'm trying to, all right, let's,
contractual and litigation matters.
yes, litigation.
Litigation.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, I.
Okay, so moved.
No, it's not going to be up. He didn't say how long it would be up for. I guess they'll leave it up for a couple, maybe a month.
Third chair.
What happened was,
Yeah. He's going to let us know when it's taken, because then they want to take it and put
Just
a.
ask him to shoot me an email when he
Yeah.
wants it down.
and it's killing me.
Mine's gonna want it down.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to come out of executive session and back into regular session.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, I.
Okay, so moved. So the board had some discussions regarding contractual and litigation. There was no decisions that were made. So if there is no further business, I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, I.
Okay. Meeting adjourned.